It was cold. Not just outside, it was that kind of cold that slips through your jacket and settles in your bones. The kind of cold that creeps in when you realize things are not going the way you swore they would. I had followed him there. Of course I did. What else was I supposed to do? After everything I'd say, after all that big talk, I'll die with you, I told him. And I meant that. At least I thought I did. You ever have that moment where you suddenly realized you've attached your whole identity to someone, and now they're in trouble? And not theoretical trouble, no, not the kind you preach about or debate online, actual trouble. And now you're standing outside the building where they're deciding what to do with him. The other disciples had connections to enter the courtyard. Doors open easier when you know the right people. We walked in like we belonged there, but I knew I didn't. I was an outsider, like some delivery guy who had forgot the password. The other disciples comes back after talking to the girl at the door, and just like that, we were in, but before I enter, I hear it. She says it to me so casually. You aren't one of those man's disciples too, are you? Two. That word hit harder than the question. Two, as in, we already caught one of you. Two, as in, this is spreading, we have to contain this. Two, associated. I didn't even think. I am not. And just like that, 2 words and the world didn't end. Lightning didn't strike. He didn't turn and look at me from across the courtyard. Nothing dramatic happened. The door opened and I walked in. That's the scary part, isn't it? How easy it is. You think betrayal is going to feel violent, like breaking glass or tearing down a wall. But sometimes, like now, it feels like merely adjusting your coat and stepping inside. There was a fire in the courtyard. You could smell it, sharp, smoky, bitter, the kind that clings to your clothes so even after you leave, you carry it with you. They were all standing around it. Officers, servants, people who didn't know him, or worse, people who did and didn't care. And I stood with them, warming my hands. That's what I tell myself anyway. I was just trying to stay warm. I wasn't denying him. I was surviving. That's what we call it now, right? Self-preservation. But here's what no one tells you. You can be physically closer to Jesus than you've ever been, and spiritually standing at a different fire. He was inside, being questioned, accused, lied about, and I was outside nodding along with the people who hated him. Maybe I wasn't agreeing out loud to convince myself I was right, but I wasn't defending him either. I was just there, neutral, invisible, safe. The firelight flickered across faces I didn't recognize. Someone glanced at me longer than the rest. You aren't one of his disciples too, are you? Two, that word again as if it were obvious, like it was written on my face. My heart kicked against my ribs. This one felt less theoretical. I could still step back and say nothing, but I feared the silence suspicious. So I doubled down. I am not. It felt stronger this time, sharper, like if I cut the words clean enough, they wouldn't cut me back. And again, nothing happened. The fire kept burning, and a few nodded. The first denial surprises you. The second one steadies you. By the third, you're almost rehearsed. Time felt stretched. Inside, I could hear raised voices, sandals on the stone. Every now and then, the door would open and spill light across the courtyard. And I'd look just to see if he'd look back. Then it happened. One of the high priest's servants stepped closer. I recognized his face before I placed it. A relative of the man whose ear I had cut off. He squinted at me, studying me, like he knew. My accent probably didn't help, but I was pushed again. Didn't I see you with him in the garden? Although a question, it was not a guess. It was a memory, and suddenly I wasn't just warming my hands anymore. I was back under olive trees, swinging a sword I barely knew how to use. Back when courage was loud and reckless and uncomplicated, he had been there. He had seen me. This wasn't about association. No, this was about identification. If he had pressed, others would listen. If others listened, someone would connect the dots. And if someone would connect the dots, I could be inside with him before the night's over. I could lose everything. And in that split second, I realized something about myself that I didn't want to know. I wanted the Messiah, I just didn't want the suffering. I wanted the kingdom, I just didn't want the cross-shaped road to get there. So for the third time, I denied it. I denied him again. The others say I swore, that I called down curses on myself to make it convincing. I do not know him. Not just I'm not his disciple, not I wasn't there. No, I do not know him. That's how far fear will take you. Take loyalty, add some distance, and you get disownment. And immediately before the last syllable finished leaving my mouth, a rooster crowed. It was sharp, sudden. It cut through the night air like the theoretical blade I put in his back. I froze because hours earlier he had looked right at me and said, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me." 3 times. I argued with him. I even corrected him. I told him he was wrong, and now the sound echoed off the stone walls of that courtyard like a verdict. 3 times. I didn't need anyone to count. My heart already knew. Somewhere inside, in the middle of false witnesses and twisted accusations, he knew. He always knows. He turned and looked at me. I don't know how to describe that look. It wasn't shock, it wasn't anger, it wasn't "I told you so." It was knowing and sorrow. It was love that had already accounted for this failure before it ever happened, and that's what undid me. Not the rooster, not the exposure, it was the look. I had sworn I would follow him to prison and to death, but I couldn't follow him through a conversation. I had drawn a sword against soldiers, but I folded under the easiest of questions. So I left. Not because anyone forced me to, but because I couldn't stand the heat of that fire anymore. It wasn't warming me. It was unmasking me. I walked out into the night, into the cold. There are some chills that come from weather, but the worst comes from the truth. I wept, not polite tears or composed regret. I wept tears that shake you, the kind that strip away every excuse like it was cold. That's what I keep saying, but the truth, it wasn't the temperature. It was fear and pride. It was the shattering realization that I'm not as brave as I think I am when bravery actually costs something. 3 denials, 3 chances to stand firm. 3 moments where warmth won, and yet, even then, even knowing what I would say, before I said it, he had washed my feet. He had broken bread with me, and he had called me rock. The fire in that courtyard smelled like failure, but it wasn't the only fire in my story. There would be another. One day by the sea. Another question asked 3 times, another chance to answer differently. But that night it was cold. I chose the fire over the flame. I chose safety over the Savior. I said I am not, in the deepest of truths, said I am his. I smelled it before I saw him. The charcoal, that sharp, unmistakable smell that doesn't just reach your nose, but reaches backward into memory, into my failure. It reaches into the moment you wish you could relive and undo, the moment you knew you made the most unthinkable mistake. Same smell, same kind of fire. Only this time it wasn't in a courtyard thick with accusation and treason. It wasn't surrounded by soldiers and servant girls and the glow of torches against stone walls. It wasn't filled with the odor of disgust and duplicity. This time it was dawn. The soft light was breaking over the water as the waves breathing in and out new life. A fire on the shore. I stood stationary in the boat because the last time I stood near a charcoal fire, it was because I was cold. The last time I stood near a charcoal fire, I warmed my hands. The last time I stood near a charcoal fire, I denied him 3 times. I do not know him. I can still hear my own voice. It was casual, quick, and cowardly. 3 times I denied him, and now here he was, standing beside another charcoal fire. The fish were already laid out on it, and the bread was set out almost as if he had been there for a long while, like he knew we'd come. He knew exactly where discouraged men drift when hope feels lost. We went back to fishing, back to basics, what we understood, back to the nets and the knots and the calloused hands. One will never appreciate what resurrection means when you're staring at an empty net. And that's exactly what it was. Empty, all night, not a thing. We worked in the dark and caught nothing, and then a voice from the shore pierced the emptiness. Children, do you have any fish? We didn't recognize him yet, but something in the tone felt familiar. We asked him like any good tired fisherman would. No. Cast the net on the right side of the boat, he tells us. Now, if I had learned anything, it was to listen to him when he spoke. So we did. Maybe because we had nothing left to lose at this juncture, or maybe because something in us wanted to believe again. And as if he had read my mind, as if he had known I needed to believe. The net was suddenly heavy, overflowing really. It was so full we couldn't haul it in. John said it first. It is the Lord. I didn't argue, no, not this time. I didn't need confirmation because my heart knew before my head did, and I didn't wait for the boat. I didn't wait for dignity. I threw on my outer garment and jumped into the sea. The others dragged the net while I swam. I felt like if I got there first, I could outrun the memory. If I had moved fast enough, I could get ahead of the shame. But I knew no matter how fast you swim, you can't outswim regret. Regret. A debilitating trait that clings tighter than the wet clothes on my back. When we reached the shore, I saw it clearly. The charcoal fire with the fish on it, the bread beside. He already had fish. He didn't need ours. He didn't need our success or the proof that we still had something to offer. He had already decided. He was planning to feed us before we brought anything. Bring some of the fish you have just caught, he said. I went back, grabbed the net, and dragged it myself to the shore. 153 fish. I had counted them because counting feels safer than feeling. At this point, I needed to know. I needed the validation because numbers don't look at you the same way his mercy does. And somehow, though there were so many fish, the net was not torn. That felt important to me because the last time I was tested, I tore. But not this time. No, not this time. This net held. Come and have breakfast, he tells us. And it wasn't a confrontation. This wasn't a courtroom. I wasn't on trial. It was just breakfast. We sat around the fire. No one dared ask, who are you? We knew. Resurrection has a weight to it, a quiet authority even. He took the bread and gave it to us. The fish soon followed. The same hands that had been pierced serving us. The King of Glory cooking over coals. This wasn't some abstract forgiveness or some theological concept. This was mercy. Mercy that you could taste. Mercy that fills your empty places without first demanding an explanation. We ate as the fire crackled. The waves kept breathing new life onto the shore. And I wondered when it would come. I was waiting with anticipation. The talk, the conversation really, the reminder, ready to rub it in my face to make me feel the same shame he had felt. I was waiting for that moment where he would say, why would you? But he didn't rush it. He let us eat. He let the silence settle. And then when we had finished breakfast, he said my name. Not Peter, but Simon. Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Now this was not going to be like the last time where I denied him 3 times. Last time where I chose warmth over love. This time would be different. Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Feed my lambs, he tells me. And before I can even confirm and give him my word, Simon, son of John, do you love me? A second time I'm asked to confirm what I know to be true in my heart. With no hesitation, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Take care of my sheep, he says to me. I am ready to feed his lambs. I'm ready to care for his sheep. And before I can get a word out, for a third time he asks, Simon, son of John, do you love me? 3 times he asked if I love him. And 3 times I am forced to remember that courtyard. I was hurt that he had to ask me 3 times. Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Feed my sheep, he tells me. And for a third time before I can speak, he says, truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go. This he says to me, to show by what kind of death I was to glorify God. In that moment, it all made sense. It had finally clicked. Follow me, he says. Despite my betrayal, despite my denials, in that moment I knew, I will follow you. I will follow you.